Beyond the Waves is a Hail Hail Media production. It may contain sweary words, and adult situations may be discussed. If you're in the company of underage temps, turn off the show now and listen back later. If you'd like to get in touch with the show, email us at beyondthewaves67@gmail.com. You can also find us on Twitter at BTW Celtic Show, or you can join our group on Facebook at Beyond the Waves. Hail, hail, and keep the faith.
Read the roll of honor for Ireland's bravest men. We must be united in memory of the 10. England, you're a monster. Don't think that you have won. We will never be defeated while Ireland has such sons. The dreary H-block cages where brave young Irishmen lay, hungering for justice while their young lives ebbed away, for the rights of Irish soldiers to flee their native land. They stood beside their leader, the gallant Bobby Sands. Read the roll of honor for Ireland's bravest men. We must be united in memory of the 10. England, you're a monster. Don't think that you have won. We will never be defeated while Ireland has such sons. Francis Hughes and Old Balahi, Ray McCreesh from Armagh Hills, in the narrow streets of Derry, they miss O'Hara still. They so proudly gave their young lives to break Britannia's hold. Their names shall be remembered as history unfolds. Through the war-torn streets of Ulster, the black flags that proudly wave to salute the Irish martyrs, the bravest of the brave. Joe MacDonald, Martin Horson, Kevin Lynch, Kieran Doherty. They gave their lives for freedom with Thomas McAwee. Read the roll of honor for Ireland's bravest men. We must be united in memory of the 10. England, you're a monster. Don't think that you have won. We will never be defeated while Ireland has such sons. Michael Devine from Derry, you were the last to die, when your 9 brave companions with the martyrs they did lie. Your souls cry out, remember, our deaths were not in vain. You fought to make our homeland a nation once again. Read the roll of honor for Ireland's bravest men. We must be united in memory of the 10. England, you're a monster. Don't think that you have won. We will never be defeated while Ireland has its sons.
Welcome to the Beyond the Waves Celtic Football Show. My name is Graham Wilson, and if you can't tell by the raspiness in my voice, I am hungover. We are only about a half hour delayed from the advertised start time for you live listeners, so apologies for that. But sometimes needs must. So we are here, and very good show lined up today. We were originally hoping to have a special guest for the show today, but scheduling conflicts prevented that from happening. So hopefully we will have that lined up for you at some point this week. But I'm really looking forward to it. Mark Dreyer, who writes a blog on and is very engaged and active in the commerce of sport and its relationship specifically to China. So it's going to be really good to get his feedback, pertinent to this deal that the SPL has worked out. Hopefully we'll get some more specifics on the television and revenue boom deal that they came up with in China. Maybe we can get some feedback in terms of some similar arrangements with other leagues. But nonetheless, joining us as always from Perth Amboy, New Jersey, coming in at 6'2", 170 pounds. It is the Rev. Hail, Rev.
170. You're not giving me any credit there.
Well, you are sleek and slender.
I got that beat by about 25 pounds.
What? You're 195?
I'm pushing 200, buddy.
Wow. Well, listen, that's a fighting weight. Good for you. Good for you, Rev. 195. Look at you.
Nice and full.
Yeah, there you go. So we're counting down now. Only a few short weeks left until your big day. Are you Are you feeling it? Are you nervous? Are you excited?
I'm ready for it to happen.
Yeah, that's a that's a diplomatic choice of words for you. Might have expected you to say you're ready for it to be over.
I'm excited, all that.
I can tell.
But I'm just ready for the extracurricular bullshit to be over.
I do know what you're talking about, sir. Yes, very, very, very much. Now, did you have an opportunity to see the game yesterday?
Yes. Bit more lucid for the second half than the first half, but yes.
As we all are. Given the fact that, wow, look at you, already popping bottles. at 10:30 a.m. local time.
Dropping pencils. There we go.
There you go. I was not able to make it to the CSC, which is our local CSC, the Washington D.C. Celtic Sports Club in Bethesda, Maryland. Shameless plug. Which is a rare occurrence. I typically do try and get up there, and typically am successful at getting up there. But we had a bit of an event here at Castle Graham yesterday that was earlier in the day than I had thought was going to happen, and required a lot more activity and preparation than I thought. So was able to take in the game, most of it anyway, from home. Celtic TV, as always, has an issue when I need it. When I have to watch a game at home, Celtic TV just shat it. And it's starting to work into a bit of a pattern here. Rev, any thoughts?
On Celtic TV breaking when you need it?
Yeah. It's a perfect blame Graham scenario.
No, I wouldn't go that far. I'd go the converse with that and say that maybe the NSA has a deal with certain people in charge of the club and track your whereabouts. And he's at home today. Well, let's shit the viewing possibilities for him. The
NSA and Peter Lowell in it together. That's
the really unseen Fenian hand there.
Wow. Yeah. Well, that's why we have Snowden. So 4-1 to Celtic, fantastic result. A little bit confusing coming out. Seeing the starting 11, it had all the hallmarks of a 4-5-1. What morphed into that, or out of that rather, was more of a 4. I would say it's a Christmas tree. It's more of a 4-3-2-1 with, oddly enough, Scott Brown on the left-hand side. We saw him repeatedly taking the ball, up the left-hand wing almost, stretching out the defenders. We saw a nice bit of tangling up with Kovacevic. I thought that was a female tennis player, but and he plays football like a female tennis player. We definitely will say that. But Scott Brown really impressed me, in terms of his flexibility there, and how many different levels to his game. I mean, listen, we'll go into the Ajax game here in a minute. I think that we really missed his stabling presence, his leadership on the park. I never think that Georgios Samaras is a captain. Proper, in terms of organizing and in terms of motivating. It was clear for everyone to see. And having Scott Brown back in the side, there was a bit of a different vibe there. But, once I got my Celtic TV feed sorted, or, when I was skipping back and forth from Dodgy streams, I had a complaint that, we weren't heading the ball as effectively as we needed to be, especially in comparison to, what we've done over the past couple of years. I mean, certainly last season with Wanyama and Georgios Samaras was quite good at heading the ball, but we've just been completely inept, and I made that comment in the first half, and sure enough, we score 4-headed goals with a brace from Virgil van Dijk, who, in my opinion, and it's unfortunate, every time a player, steps up and starts to come good that we bring in, the first thought that everybody has is, great, we're never going to be able to keep him now, and that's the shame of it, but it is the reality. There are going to be people coming in for him. I mean, even when the rest of the team breaks down in these Champions League games, he's the one that always steps up and that stands out. And who can't use, a young, strong, big center half, that's intelligent, reads the game exceptionally well, makes excellent decisions, really can anchor the spine of any side. So, I'm sure all of the balance sheet worshippers are certainly smiling on that. But yes, getting back to the game yesterday, Joe Ledley, another player who, in my opinion, is the scapegoat far too often. Yesterday, he had a lot of responsibility. I mean, you have Isgary bombing up the left flank. You have Scott Brown that's vacating. He's going to be further up on the park. Down the left-hand side, and that leaves Ledley to cover 2 and sometimes 3 men, and that on the counter, to try and slow things down and wait for Van Dijk to come over and cover, or Mulgrew, if he's over there as well. He did an exceptional job in terms of breaking up play in the middle of the park, distributing, and then, of course, scoring 2-headed goals, which, who can forget the goal that he scored against Rangers, who are now dead, fortunately, in December of 2011, I believe, which was the game that got us back from 15 points down, 15-1. Ali McCoy's to get it up, yeah. And he has shown the knack at times to be quite capable from headers. So 4-1, I will take it, Rev.
Gladly.
And
yeah, like you said, all headers. That was pretty nice. And, I don't know if it's a positive or negative, doesn't matter. Maybe reading too much into it, but the fact that it came, not from the strikers or striker, it that's good to know that, yeah, obviously we can have, other players who haven't scored this year, put some balls in the back of the net. But, and I guess maybe it's a little reassuring that if we're having problems with our forwards, other people are there to pick up the slack. But, we shouldn't have to rely on, the 8 other outfielders to score. It should primarily be the strikers, obviously.
Now, that gets into, and now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move over to the moaning part of the analysis. It gets back into the recurring theme here, which is we don't have any strikers, really. We don't have any goal-scoring strikers. I believe Gary Hooper scored his first Premiership goal, so good for you, Gary. And but that leaves us with a significant void. We've heard time and again Neil Lennon talk about, Pookie is a valuable type of player that they do see developing and being a big part of Celtic in the future. I'm not exactly sure what that is just yet, but it's certainly not going to be scoring goals. And when your lone striker, your lone proper striker is going to be Pookie out there, that puts a lot of strain and stress on those other outfielders. It puts a lot of strain on Sam Russell. Let's be honest, is not a prolific goal scorer, never was, never is going to be. That's not his function. That's not the role that he fills. James Forrest, who let's not kid ourselves, he has issues with staying fit in and out of the side. Chris Commons, obviously he's coming back, but that lays a lot of that responsibility on a player like Commons, who at the very essence of what he is best suited to do, it's more of the link-up side, not so much the finishing, although he does have exceptional technique. He's got a rocket shot on him, and that's always handy. But to leave all of the responsibility to him, puts a lot of pressure on him. And when he comes in, like on Wednesday against Ajax, he comes in, has a bit of a stinker. A lot of that pressure that heaps on him, that can lower his confidence. And confidence is an absolute killer, especially for someone who's in charge of putting the ball in the back of the net, as you described it. So, I'm coming to the conclusion now, and let me throw it out to you, and we'll be having Dr. J and Yampi joining us here shortly, but let me get your thoughts first. Pookie, is it soon enough? I mean, personally, I think we've seen plenty. I think we've seen enough. He's not, going to be the Hooper replacement that I think that originally he was sold to all of us as being. He's never going to be that player. Maybe he's a supporting striker, a link-up type player. But once again, I really didn't see anything from him that fills me with any sort of confidence, motivation, justification for his even being out there. Your thoughts?
I wouldn't go quite that far, but I agree. He's definitely not, the like-for-like replacement for Hooper, or even, where he could grow into that. He just hasn't found that ability yet. When Gary Hooper first came, he wasn't, obviously what he left as, although you could see...
Rav. He was way better than Pookie is. I mean... After 9 goals in the SPL, Gary Hooper had scored. After 9 games, Gary Hooper had scored 11 goals when he first came here. Pookie has 2.
I'm saying not comparing them both. I'm just saying Gary Hooper when he came to Gary Hooper when he left, not Gary Hooper when he came to Pookie when he came.
Right. Okay.
That's that. Yeah, that's all. I mean, no, I'm definitely not comparing them like that. But yeah. I'm not going to say Pookie's bad, Pookie's awful, he sucks. I wouldn't go quite that far, but, he needs someone to, Pookie's more of a grit striker. He's more the guy that's I think he's a little bit more physical, like he's exactly like Anthony Stokes is. And, the way when I look at putting a team together, and for strikers, I want one guy who's has a little more finesse, a little more the poacher ability, and pair him with a guy who's more of just like instead of like a a sharp precision knife, more of like a broadsword, a guy that's a bit tougher, a bit grittier, can kind of push people around in the box. And that's how I kind of see Pookie. So to pair him and make him more effective, you need that, the yin to his yang. You need that guy who's a bit more, more of a finesse player. And Anthony Stokes isn't that. You've got two of the exact same players on at the same time, if they're both on at the same time. And
which leads me to question which leads me to question why we paid $3 million for Pookie. Why? Well, I mean, the only explanation that I have for that is that over the summer we had every intention of not re-signing Anthony Stokes, of letting him go, and Pookie was going to be Stokes' replacement. That's the only logic that I can come up with here. Because you're right. I think that they are very similar players, although I think Anthony Stokes has a much better way of dealing with playing in Scotland, i.e. not getting any time on the ball. Pookie came from the Bundesliga. He's a he's a finished product, although he's not the finished product. And I think that he comes from a place where he was not taught how to play football in a telephone booth, which is something that you absolutely need to have if you're going to play in Scotland. I think that sometimes we do see some of that technical skill that he can display, but he gives the ball away far too easily, far too quickly, and I think it's just a result of not having that awareness and not having that toughness, of playing in Scotland and making quick decisions. Oftentimes it's like, it seems to take him several seconds to make a decision that needs to be made in 1 or 2 seconds. And Gary Hooper, when he first came, I believe the first game that he played in was against Utrecht, and I believe he had 1 or maybe 2 goals, but you could see it right there. He made quick decisions, but again, he was the type of player that, you have strikers, and I don't understand this whole strikers that don't score concept or mentality. It's just not for me. Strikers inherently, by definition, need to score goals. If you're a striker, if you're a striker that doesn't score goals, you're an advancing midfielder. That's the only way that I can really think about it. But you have strikers that will run the channels, just back and forth and wear out, opposing center halves and fullbacks, and don't really care where the ball is played. They have the instinct to get on the end of any sort of cross or through ball, or they put themselves in position, and that's my preferred sort of striker. That they're much more flexible. You also have strikers that are only effective really when they have the ball perfectly played to their feet. And those players, it's obviously extremely dependent on who you're playing against, the type of defensive makeup that your opponent has, and how much time you have, and certainly the form of your midfielders in terms of service. I think that's what we have with Pookie in terms of his goal scoring acumen. He might be used to a slower build up, and he needs the ball played perfectly to his feet. In order to be effective. And unfortunately, that's just not going to happen all that frequently, either in Scotland or in the Champions League. So to see how this is going to end well for Celtic and Pookie together is it's a challenge. If we had an opportunity to get Miku back at this point, I think that Miku...
That's a bold statement.
Is it really, though? By this point, Miku had scored a couple of goals. He led the line against Barcelona. Miku, I think, was shut out largely because we had Gary Hooper there. And if you're not going to come in and knock Gary Hooper off of his perch, you're going to get ignored. Well, we don't have Gary Hooper anymore, and I think if Miku had a run of games this season, now that Hooper's gone, I think he'd be much better than Pookie. That's just my assessment. We're now joined by Dr. J from the Myrtle Beach Ball Deep CSC. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Oh, you're sounding rough and ready.
It's been a long few days.
No, you're just back in town from Seattle, the
yes.
the home of the fish market, Starbucks, legalized weed. Did you?
Apparently, yes.
Did you happen to partake in any or one of those?
We definitely went down to the public market.
Lovely.
Had to do that.
Lovely. Did you see them tossing around the
And,
fish as they do?
Yeah, a couple times. Yeah, it's. I mean, people with cameras out. I'm not a big flashy kind of guy, so I'm not picture everywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole I don't get the whole experience of taking your photo out in front of the original Starbucks. That doesn't appeal to me.
Yeah.
But anyway, saw a bunch of that. But I did get a chance to go hang out with the Seattle CSC, which was awesome.
Cool.
And went to the Kells, which is actually right on the right around the corner from the public market, right there, just the first, right on the public market area there. And watched the game. I got in and got there at halftime, and they definitely pour a mean Guinness and have a ton of different whiskey, so it was good. I had a good time.
And what time did the game start there?
Game at
Did we lose him already?
no, I'm right here.
Oh, okay. You know, we didn't get your answer. It was breaking up a little bit.
11:45 in the morning.
11:45?
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about the Ajax game.
Yeah.
Oh, right. I thought you were talking about the Ross County game because it was.
Oh, Ross County. No, Ross County was 4:15.
I was gonna say it was ridiculously early here. It had to be, it had to be the night before there.
It was ass early yesterday. That's why I got up this morning to watch the game before I got on the phone.
Oh, okay. All right. Right.
Yeah,
Now,
there's no chance. Yesterday was an absolute travel disaster. I was supposed to take if you saw my Twitter feed, I was late yesterday at Delta. I was supposed to take a first-class flight back from Seattle directly to Atlanta and then Atlanta home, and run a sleeper seat with all that stuff and everything else. And I ended up having to go from Seattle to Salt Lake to Atlanta, Atlanta to Myrtle Beach, and it was a long day.
those sons of bitches.
I know. All right, no big deal. Anyway, so on to the good stuff.
Yes.
You know what? I hope everyone saw the difference between what we did against Ajax, or attempted to do against Ajax, which was not really anything, and what we attempted to do in against Ross County Dingwall yesterday. And I really, really believe that you can sum it up in one word:
Go ahead.
speed.
Yeah.
Speed.
Yeah,
We're just too, we're just too slow with that, and you can see it in Fisher. He's the next Matthews, and I could see them cashing out on Lustig relatively soon.
Yeah.
Put him back there with Matthews, and then absolutely just laying down a tarmac with stripes down the right side of Paradise and say, okay, guys, this is our track side, and you guys are just going to run up and down the field, and it's going to literally be, a 100-yard dash, bang, go. And I really believe that's what they're going to do. I can see that already, and that is the big difference, and you can tell the difference between what's going on with Mulgrew in the middle and Kyle in the middle versus having some speed with Fisher darting out of the back, because we didn't do that with Lustig. Mm-hmm. And then we also, because I guess we're obviously trying to hold it 0-0. Mm-hmm. But on the flip side, I mean, with Brown in the middle, dear God, I mean, the speed that's there and everything else, and just the tenacity there are times, and the whole time I'm sitting there watching the game, there are times, the entire time I'm sitting there going, we're missing an intangible. It has nothing to do with anything else other than Brown to sit there and absolutely just clean out somebody and sit there and laugh in his face like happened yesterday. I thought
that was
I
awesome.
really did feel that Kovacevic, that tackle that he put on Brown,
overhand volley,
around and just absolutely just gave it right back to him. Yeah. To me, that was the point between that one, and I really felt emotionally with my own self watching the game when the guy, I mean, Fisher did take a dive. That was as good as a when he got pulled from behind, he didn't touch his face, anything else, and that was as good as I'm going to see anyone else do an impression of we'll call it a Balotelli or our favorite hashtag diving, hashtag whining, hashtag cunt Neymar. He really did dive, but I will tell you this: when Forrester came running across the field and got in that guy's face, it started. All of a sudden, it became one of those things that you don't see people do that very often. When he did that, it was a big thing, and I really think that's what we're missing against Ajax. Yeah, and I think Brown is the catalyst. He is an intangible he's not the fastest, but he's faster. He's not the quickest, but he's quicker than what we had on Wednesday. And it's just one of those things. I think he's the intangible. I don't know what it is about him. And I think back to the first time I really watched him play, and that was when they played Sporting up in Boston. And I remember him just looking at his face and looking at his bald head, and looking at him just steamroll everyone back before he dialed it down from 11 down to 10. I remember calling him a bulldog, and that's really all he is. I mean, all you gotta do is open the front porch and let him go attack the mailman.
I love it. What a fantastic visual. And sorry, a couple of excellent points, and I'm really glad that you brought up. First off, Darnell Fisher coming out, and it seems as though he's just a magnet for getting clattered. Every game it seems like people are going in and testing him. It seems.
No, Graham, that's not what it is. You know what it is? I'm gonna go the non abusive route right now. I'm gonna say he's a rookie, a young kid, and he gets tested. Zero protection from the referees.
Yeah.
And he gets absolutely clattered from everyone else, knowing that he is the young kid and he can take abuse because the referee's not going to help him. That's A. The other side of me goes, he's a young black kid playing in Scotland, and they know for a fact no one's going to protect his ass.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe that's my Southern American look onto it, but it has nothing to do. It has everything to do with he is the young kid, and the referees do nothing to protect him. This is the second time in a row the referees absolutely let him get run at 5 and 6 and 7 times, and then the referee had the fucking balls to stand there and call him over after he clipped heels with somebody and point to the ground 5 times where he called a foul. Meanwhile, the other end of the field, he gets absolutely clattered, and call the referee over to get guarded.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I'm very excited about the prospect of Darnell Fisher. I mean, just think about how valuable Danny McGrain is. I mean, I don't think there's any coincidence whatsoever that our strongest position, and it has been for some time, is at right back. We have a legend of the game, not just of Celtic and not just of Scotland. I mean, maybe one of the best right backs, certainly of the 80s in Britain. Who is such an amazing resource for us to be able to tap into. And it's not just the right backs. I think that there's been just such a broad-based improvement across the back line. But now we have, it's just a conveyor belt. Now Darnell Fisher's coming through, and you see that, there's not just the skill and the talent. You can see a player in there, but he's so composed for a young player. That's the consistent thing with these young players that come through. And sometimes you forget, we've talked about this in the past, sometimes you forget that these kids, they're 19, 20, 21, 22 years old, but they at no point do they look at a place, do they conduct themselves in a way that, is sort of overawed. The composure and the poise is something that's really remarkable and certainly impressive. Did we lose the doc, Dr. J?
Mayhaps. Yeah,
I got some soundage in there, like the Skype whoop whoop. Here, let's play some fanfare while we wait for him to call back. Hopefully that'll rouse him back. Do we have it? Yes?
I don't know.
Do we have to...
There we go.
I hear the secrets that you keep when you're talking to Baldy. I hear the secrets that you keep when you're talking to Baldy. It works like a charm. Dr. J, you there? It works every time.
Wild stuff. I'm even home today on my own high speed, and my phone craps out. Who knows?
No, but so excellent point, that I was sort of waxing on was, the progression of Darnell Fisher, how composed he looks, and, the effect that Danny McGrain has had on this side. I mean, what a fantastic resource he is. You bring up Brown as well, and I agree completely. I think that he was a key component. I know that I've not been the biggest Brown fan in the past. I know that, many folks will listen to this and probably scoff at it, but there is something that's as you put it, intangible. I couldn't agree more. His absence in terms of leadership, in terms of organizing, I think was sorely missed, and I think that we saw the difference. And in terms of speed, what we mean by speed or pace, and it can easily be relayed into tempo. Always having your head up and looking up the park instead of that sort of knee-jerk reaction that we always seem to see with Charlie McGrew on the left-hand side of midfield, where he gets the ball at his feet and his first instinct is either a sideways or a backward pass, instead of looking up the park and putting pressure on the back line of whoever our opponent is. That was the biggest difference for me between Wednesday's game and the game where we defeated Ajax at Celtic Park. There was no pressure whatsoever on their back line, and their left back, who I pointed out before the first tie, considering Blinda had to come into the center of the midfield, their left back was absolutely atrocious. I mean, he's gotten ripped pretty consistently in their own domestic affairs, and I don't think we did enough work down the right flank challenging him.
Definitely, we totally missed the mark there. They put 3 people on that right side.
Yeah.
To take Samaras away going down the left flank.
Exactly.
And when I landed in Seattle and immediately pick up Twitter, and the whole time all I'm reading is messages on, oh shit, I had no idea Forrest was playing.
Right.
And I'm sorry, I don't understand. I get to the game, I start watching, I start asking the guys, and it's like, well, Sammy's not doing anything. He goes up for a header, he's got 5 people around him.
Right.
And all of a sudden, the ball pops over to the right. I mean, there's got to be, and I think some of this, obviously, I think some of this goes down to, obviously, no changes that took place in the second, not early enough, I don't think, to make a change, to do anything. And I really do believe, I know Danny, I believe that Danny's made a really positive influence. And I see that, I still believe that Lenny is young, and I wouldn't trade him for the world right now because he's also a motivator. But on the flip side, there's another, I don't want to say but, however, or in addition to that, what I want to add to that is that there is a component that is a learning curve for him.
Yep.
And he's playing at a level right now that, he's not, I don't think he's totally up to where you would say a lot of the other European managers are, because just from experience, it has nothing to do with him. It has everything to do with, what situations you've been in. And I almost felt, and I want to take people back, and I don't want to even remember this day, but I almost felt in the second half watching those late substitutions like we were playing against Sion.
Yeah, I mean, none of it made any sense to me. Any of the substitutions. Bringing Anthony Stokes off when we were a goal down, when we're chasing the game, made no sense to me whatsoever.
No, I'm sitting there going, okay, great, here comes, I forget who came in the next part, Ledley. I mean, great, here comes Samaras. Samaras will come off, Ledley go on. And all of a sudden, Stokes comes off. I'm like, what the fuck is that?
Well, I think it really started from giving the armband to Samaras. I don't understand this whole, Sammy's the leader, and, we had, he had the armband against Karagandhi or something, and, we had a good response from that. I'm sorry, but on the whole, Sammy is not that type of personality that's going to, grab the game, especially when, like you pointed out, he's being surrounded by 5 players. He needs to step up and say, right, I'm going to drag people around, open up space, and you take the ball up, through the center channel, or switch it out to the right over to James Forrest and rip that left back to shreds, as we should have been doing the whole game. Instead, the ball repeatedly goes to Sammy, he loses possession. Goes to Sammy, it goes out for a throw-in. Goes to Sammy, it's a goal kick. And those are the types of things that, to your point, Neil Lennon needs to step in and be able to make those tactical adjustments. And we've seen some master strokes, some absolute genius from Neil Lennon in terms of doing just that. But there's certain situations, certain times where I think maybe he's a bit too determined, to see out his idea rather than, recognizing, especially after an entire half of football, and then, certainly after 60 minutes saying, right, okay, the game has changed. It's maybe not what I quite had expected or thought, and making the adjustments that really need to be made, and they weren't.
Totally. I really believe that. I mean, I don't want to judge his performance. I just want to go ahead and just compare it. And I think going back to Sion, the second leg, and I remember watching a game in Manhattan with Manhattan CSC, and I remember Manhattan number 1, and I remember sitting there watching the game, and everyone just sit there going, "What just happened?" And I had that same exact experience sitting in Seattle, just sitting there going, "What happened there? I don't understand how in the world that just happened, considering." It was relatively tight. I didn't see the first half. I can't really judge. I heard we didn't play that well in the first half, and I read that Lenny wasn't excited either. But I look at the backside of the game. I'm like, okay, well, they took one shot at Forster that I saw, and two shots, and the one went in. After that, basically did nothing but punt the ball out.
Yeah.
And and on the flip side, I mean, that game, I mean, that was literally World War I type footage.
Yeah.
It was 6 inches left, 6 inches right, and no one left their foxhole for the rest of the game.
Right.
And I was really, really disappointed. And I mean, if you're going to try and pump the ball and everything else, I mean, then Baldwin's on the bag. You got to get him in. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, let me ask you a question. Don't you think Van Dyke is the absolute fucking bomb now?
Yes. I want to do very naughty things to him.
Yes, I was saying earlier. I really think I'm just waiting for people to start creating Chuck Norris type jokes about him. That he's so strong he doesn't do push-ups. He bench presses the earth. That type of stuff. I really do believe. I mean, he once again, he is really, 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 really pushing the Dutch FA to put him on that roster.
Oh, he's got to be. He's got to be.
And the way he played on Wednesday, oh my God, unbelievable.
Put him on the plane. He's on the plane. No question about it. I mean, the Dutch especially, you talk about, the prospects for them going over to Brazil next year. And, the Dutch always have to be in that conversation. I mean, they have quality, basically everywhere except – for me,
Stecklenburg.
We'll get into that. I think Stecklenburg's quality at the back. I know a lot of people don't rate him, but I certainly do. He put in a fantastic performance for the Orange Bastards in 2010. They got them to the final, but at center half they are quite lacking. And I think that a young, smart, a strong type of player, who can also play the ball out of the back. And one element to his game that we haven't really seen flourish with Celtic just yet is, the boy can take a free kick as well. I mean, he ticks every one of the boxes, and unfortunately, that's going to lead to, unfortunately, or for the balance sheet weirdos, fortunately, a short stay at Celtic, leading to obviously a huge amount of profit. But there was a Dutch girl at the bar on Wednesday, that I was watching the game with, and I was explaining to her. She's like, "Who is this guy?" And I said, "He's your next center half, star center half on your national team. Write it down, mark it down." And as the game's going on, it's like, "Is that him that broke up the tackle there again?" I'm like, "Yes, that is him."
Yeah. Yes, just put that on replay the entire time.
Exactly.
So speaking of our next future cap, I don't want to say that I was right, but I told you what would happen with Forster, and that Hodgson was going to do nothing with him and stick with Hart. And now, apparently, from what I've read, Forster is supposed to come in against Chile.
Yeah, and they did. Hodgson did bring that up, that Hart will play for one of them, but Hart, most importantly, Hart is not going to play for another. So it's either Forster or Ruddy. Which at this point, I mean, come on, fair play to Ruddy, but. I mean, Fraser Forster is playing in the Champions League, and some of the saves that he has made in the past that he's making now, are spectacular. I mean, they can't be described any other way. I would like it if he would command the box a bit more. We've talked about that, but he still is at 24 years of age. He's still a bit young, has a lot to learn. But the calamity of Joe Hart continues, and that's only an opportunity for Fraser Forster.
Yeah, and world class save. I know he gave up the goal that we gave up yesterday. Nothing he could do. There's no one marked back on the play.
Rab Douglas. Rab
Douglas is goal. But I'll tell you this: that first save was world class. If you looked at it real close, and I had the ability to go back and play it 2-3 times today, I was like, holy shit, he made that save. That first save was not just that it was curling; it was also deflected. That ball came off the guy's foot, and then it started going right, and then it came off of Ambrose's boot, and it went dead left on the guy. And he got down low in left hand and patted that ball away. And I was sitting there, I was excited.
Wow.
I'm watching our replay. I know the outcome, and I'm like, what a fucking save, unbelievable. And he did a really, really good job. I was really impressed. I mean, he's getting there, and it's one of those things that I really do believe. You put a finished 4 in front of him, and you give him quality in front of him, and don't give him the ability to look bad on stupid plays. Because thank God, I mean, there's no there's no Stroyevich in there, doing stupid things, and you don't have all these crazy whack job people in there that we've had the last 4 or 5 years with him there. Now he's got a solid back four. He knows exactly what's going on, and it makes him look even better. And it allows him to concentrate not on the mistakes that those guys are going to make, because they're not going to make the general ones except for the ones that Effie makes up the part for doing stupid things. But on the flip side, it allows him to really concentrate on whether or not that ball's going to get through. And some of the saves he made, or that one save he made yesterday, and a couple other ones that he made against Ajax, were just absolutely just amazing, because he knows and can trust. And I really believe that. And that goes back to what we talked about 3 weeks ago. We don't that connection. We don't have at the front of the field.
Yeah, no,
we just don't have it.
Right.
Those back five guys.
Well, and it all comes down to communication. I
for
think
the next 3-4 years, they'll be tough. We won't. Listen. Let's be honest. If we're not in Europe, we probably lose Forster in January, and Van Dijk probably in next January, if we're not in Europe again, because he's gonna. God knows what he does at the World Cup, and if he does really good at the World Cup, we'll probably lose him too. But I'll tell you what, those 4 or 5 guys together for another little while, and then bringing the young guy in. I just really believe. I mean, that's a solid back four, especially at the level of the SPL that we're at, and it's middle of the pack in the Champions League, and that says a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, for the money that we spent to build, and don't get me wrong, I don't want to disparage our team, but let's be honest, we're not playing at the same level money-wise as everyone else, and to build a back five like that on peanuts, that's just good management.
Yeah. Well, it's let's and being the moany prick that I am, let's
you want to go to the other half.
let's talk about and I completely agree with you. I think that the development. I mean, let's be honest. When Forster first came, everybody was scratching their head like, who the hell is this? And why are we taking on Newcastle's third string keeper? I mean, it's just a cheap way out. But Forster is what he is today because of Stevie Woods. He was developed by us, and that's really what we need to focus on. We need to focus on the resources at Lennox Town, bringing these players in, unpolished gems that we see something in, some sort of glimmer that we can shine up, develop, and then unfortunately sell on, and F you to the balance sheet weirdos. I'm not going to say fortunately, but on the flip side, you're right with the forwards, specifically the strikers. There doesn't seem to be that same level of communication, that you have. I like a keeper that is vocal, that's in constant communication with the center halves, especially. I think that we have that at this point to a certain extent with Forster. Van Dijk speaks, absolutely perfect English. I've heard him speak with my own ears. And the partnership that he's developed with Efe, I think that they really emphasize each other's strength. I mean, I think Efe is exceptionally good recovering, utilizing that pace. And
he has to be.
Yeah, there's a lot of covering for mistakes, and Van Dijk, I mean, let's not kid ourselves. There's been a couple of situations where Fa just made an absolute dick of it, on the right hand side, and Van Dijk comes in and makes an exceptional tackle in the box as he typically does. But that's essentially what I mean when I'm talking about there, where they play so well off of each other. Now, I mean, we're so quick to mark out to Van Dijk and. Talking about the goal that was given up yesterday, of course you want Forster to wrap that ball up and not allow for the deflection. But really, it comes down to Van Dijk shutting off. Expecting Forster just to make the save, not tracking the runner late on after it, for the deflection. You can say that Ambrose shut off as well, but Ambrose came out, and he needs to be able to read. If Ambrose is coming out and he misses that ball, Van Dijk needs to track the runner. After the ball goes past him, there's nothing he can do about it, but he needs to make sure that when that runner does come through, that he's accounted for. So that you don't have the opportunities from.
Yeah, well, remember that the runner came from the left, so from Forster's left. So it's either Van Dijk or Izzy that's got to track.
Well, exactly.
And we all know Izzy is prone to memory lapses at times.
Yes.
Forgetting where he's supposed to be.
Yes.
So, but I mean, listen. Let's be honest. That's the reason. And as much as I want them to put pull the hoops on and root for them, there's a reason why they're not where we think they should be. And it's because of those lapses, and that's the difference. And you hit it right on the head with Forster. When he came here, it's like, what the hell do we want this big guy for? The lurch or whatever they called him. And the reality is that if these guys see that they could train that out of them, then that's how they sell them on for a bigger profit and put them in the show, the shop window to show, what they can do.
Yeah.
And that's part of that. And I see that with Van Dijk, because it wasn't at the very beginning, and obviously betting down everything else is really good for him. And you saw that with Wanyama at the very beginning. You saw that really with Kelvin Wilson.
Yeah, definitely.
And it took a little time. And I remember I was at the Scottish Cup game when we lost. And I remember sitting there going, what happened? And watching Wilson just actually stand there as the guy runs by them and scores the goal in the second half.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden at the end, it's like, oh my God, we lost Kevin Wilson. Does anyone remember the rest of that? Or is it just the fact that the staff is that good to bring these people up to speed to where someone wants them? Now, granted, Wilson had another issue with the girlfriend and kids and everything else, but there's more to that. And these guys get trained up to the point where we can train that out of them. The only part is, I wish we could train that out of Izzy, but that continues. And he's getting to the point now where he's going to either do one of two things, either leave on the free because no one wants him, or he stays until he retires as a left back.
Well, you know what? A couple of ways I want to take that first off and table that concept of staying until he retires or whether or not he wants him. I think the thing with Izzy at this point, Izzy is what he is. He's exceptionally good going forward. He's good with the ball at his feet. He can take on a man and stretch out the fences, and that's really what we need. I mean, when he's not in the side, we do lack that, but he is a defensive liability. Not so much. I think his tackling has gotten much better. I think that when it's 1v1 and he needs to stand somebody up down on the flank, preventing crosses from coming in, I think that he's gotten miles better. But in terms of his instinct, as you pointed out, I think that oftentimes he either switches off or he makes poor decisions. He doesn't read the game quite as well from a defensive capability. You see it time and again where when the opposition is dispossessed in our own half, Izzy's way up the park. He's never sort of lingering back to take the ball off of the center halves. He's trying to get past the opposition players, get a few yards on them so that we can just have that lightning quick transition on the break. And we've seen time and again.
So we can't lay that all at the feet of Izzy because he has his charge to make sure that you understand. Don't forget the left side of midfield that we have is either going to be Mulgrew, Sammy, or maybe Kyle if he's moved over to that left side.
Ledley.
Ledley, yeah, but if you want to put Ledley in there, those three, which one of those three do you think are fast enough to track back?
Well, I think that, first off, Ledley is a waste to put there on the left-hand side, simply because when you put him on that sort of central midfield role on the left side of this central midfield, he can track over, and I think that that's when Izzy is at his best, when he has license to bomb up forward. And Ledley can, as he just demonstrated yesterday, he can slide left and cover sometimes two players by himself, fill that space, that void that Izzy leaves there.
But that wasn't what I was asking. What I was asking was, and I remember when we beat Rangers in December 2 years ago, the original Rangers, and that last game, Ledley had the goal. He played left back in that game.
Right.
And you look at it and you go, okay, he can play left back. That's great, no problem. But if I put Izzy in the left back and I have him bombing down the left side, I have to figure out who else is going to be supporting him. Now, Sammy's going to be up there with Izzy at that point in time. Ledley won't be as far as advanced as he would be, and Mulgrew can't run that far. So, I mean, at that point in time, who's going to be fast enough to get back? And by the time you look at, if you gave, Samaras and Ledley leaving about the same place, and Mulgrew leaving about the top of the bottom of the circle, and Izzy at the end line, is he fast enough to beat all of them back? The only problem is he's been told to go forward.
Right.
And that's the one part. I hear some of it, and I get really, really frustrated because it's like, wait a minute, he was told to be there.
Right.
You can't complain that he's not back there.
Right.
But the problem is when he is back there, that's when you start to see the power go out sometimes, and that's
right. And that's
exactly
essentially my point. That he's a more attack minded fullback as opposed to, say, like a Lustig, which I think that he's the jack of all trades, where he can do basically everything down that right hand flank. I think that Matthews is more of an attacking option as opposed to defensive, but he's gotten much better from that element. I don't think that Izzy really is charged with doing that. I think that
and we don't have that. You know what the other part is too. Let me add on top of that. When you put Matthews and Lustig on the right side, that's an interchangeable piece.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
They know it's like, dude, I'm running by you, cover me, boom, done. And then he has the ability to play back there. If you put Sammy on that left side with Izzy,
it's a nightmare.
You mean to tell me Sammy's going to go back and cover that back post?
Well, not just that, but it's so hard to predict what Sammy's going to do. Is he going to cut inside? I mean, half the time he doesn't know, until he's nutmegged himself and lost the ball. Is he going to cut inside? Is he going to stay wide? And, when Izzy's first instinct is, give the ball to Ledley, run up the park, and then receive it back. Or, if the left-hand sided midfielder, we'll just say, for instance, it's Sammy at this point. He's got the ball and he's taking on a player one-on-one. Izzy's first instinct is to go on the overlap, but it's a complete waste if you're going to go in there on the overlap and Sammy's going to take the ball for a run and then through the middle of the park he loses the ball and then all of a sudden Izzy's way up the park because he's trying to overlap, and then as you pointed out, if he tries to get back, I mean he's got to bust the gut to get back, but he's already 20 yards further than he needs to be.
Right.
It's a confusing
That's my point.
It's a confusing proposition, no question.
Yes, totally agree. Anyway, so by the way, let me just talk about. I want to talk about Sammy, and it's one thing I really want to talk about today. I really feel for him at times when people say he can't be arsed with getting into the game, or he doesn't look like he's up for it or whatever. I don't know if I believe that commentary as much as I believe sometimes that you can be taken out of your game because you realize the way the game is set up for you, it's not going to work. And there are very few players across all kinds of sports that can defeat that. I mean, if you look at in Philadelphia, you would say that the one person, no matter how many people put on him, you'd say Reggie White would absolutely just dominate the game. If you put the entire, offensive line on Reggie White, he would have cleared out the game, period, end discussion. You say about, for New York Giants, if you said Lawrence Taylor would have done whatever he was going to do, and that would be the end. I mean, that type of situation. I look at what Sammy has to deal with, and he is literally one-dimensional. He is, let me head the ball, let me get a run at somebody, let me get that type of thing. And if you put 3 or 4 people around him the entire game, and I really fear for what AC is going to do in a couple of weeks, because what Ajax did to him was the blueprint going forward in Europe. And he's going to need to figure out a way to become that transcendent player that can say, okay, fine, you put 4 people on me, then I'm going to get you, because he did not do that against Ajax. He did not change anything. He tried to do the same thing that he does every time, and that just didn't happen. And that was really, that was where I was disappointed. And part of it, was it fitness? I believe it was. I think part of it was. I mean, that knee was gashed open.
I don't know. I mean, he missed a week. He's a professional athlete. He was out for a week because he had a boo-boo. I'm not so sure. Chris Commons, I can give a pass to. He was out for a month. It's his first game back. He's not going to be as sharp. We saw that repeatedly with him. I'm not so sure it was a great idea to start him, without having any experience. His first touch was absolutely dreadful. But Sammy's first touch was bad as well. He was only out a week.
No, I'll give you that, but I'm saying, but he also had 6 people around him.
Well, okay,
but he didn't change. Think about other sports where you have players that are transcendent like that. He's just not. And to put 3, 4 players around him, when the ball's up in the air and on him from the very beginning, maybe it would have been best to take him off and then spread the team out, because then they have to make 2 changes to make the R1 change, and that's where I was thinking, that we kind of thing. We just didn't change. He put that team together literally, as I saw it, to stop Sammy getting a run at their defense.
You know what? I thought that he was a useful pawn to have out there. I understood from a certain aspect as to why he left Samaras out there, speaking about Neil Lennon. But what I don't understand is why he didn't use Samaras for the opportunity that presented itself, i.e., you're taking 2, 3 players out of the game, without even touching the ball. So keep Samaras making those runs down the left-hand flank and get the ball out the Forest on the right-hand side, or get, some of the midfielders in a more attacking role. Get Pookie more involved, who, who knows what the hell, his role or purpose or function is going to be. But why would you take Anthony Stokes out of the game is beyond me. And obviously,
how about just tactics? Stop kicking the ball to Sammy.
Well,
Okay,
but that's my
it's
point.
right side.
But that's my
No, I
point.
see that.
You know, and you know, your point about Sammy. You know, I mean, he's one dimensional and he doesn't have the quality of, you know, making the analogy with, you know, the players that you mentioned. You know, the Reggie Whites, the Lawrence Taylors. I mean, I would probably compare Sammy more to Jim Burt than Lawrence Taylor in terms of quality, but you know, nonetheless, that's where Sammy needs to step up and say, right, you know, as the captain, listen, I am a pawn here, okay? I'm a decoy. I'm going to take players out of the game. Don't pass it to me. Go through the center, you know, or whatever. And if I can drag these people out and maybe, you know, find some space, then you find me. But, you know, don't use me as the primary means of buildup, especially when you have James Forrest down the right-hand flank. If Chris Commons isn't going to be effective, that's the substitution I wanted to see early on. He's obviously not going to be effective. Obviously, we need some sort of attacking flair, but if he's not going to give it to us and he's more of a liability than an asset, get him off. I understood why Sammy stayed out there, but it's just a matter of them not using him as he needed to be used. Now, you bring up AC Milan as well. I'm far less worried about Milan, and here's why. Ajax had zero. I mean, as we saw in the first leg, they had zero quality in terms of being able to finish opportunities. They took advantage of a defensive, you know, basically shut off from us. That was similar in a lot of ways to the goal that we gave up yesterday against Ross County. It doesn't happen often, but you know, it can and does tend to happen. Lustig got caught out a bit, getting drugged, you know, more centrally because Ambrose left his spot, and that opened up tons of space on that right hand side of our own box. And it's unfortunate, you know, in a situation where if we would have gotten the point, that would have been, you know, so huge going into the AC Milan game. But Ajax only had one tactic, one strategy, and that was shut down Samaras. You know, from a defensive standpoint, AC Milan has far more options, opportunities than Ajax, you know, as it pertains to that. So they're going to, in my opinion, I think they're going to be far less worried about Samaras. I think they have much more quality at the back, especially where, you know, they would be able to handle Samaras with one or maybe two players, at least, you know, from that perspective. Now, the Italians, they play a much deeper back line. So Sammy's going to have a bit more room to roam around. You know, the Italians don't play such a high line. So Sammy getting that, you know, extra bit of space, I think is going to be, you know, a far better and a far more effective option in that game. You know, with Ajax not cluing in on him so much, there's going to be more space for other players as well. We need to keep an eye on Balotelli, and fingers crossed, we have to pray that they don't get rid of Allegri in the meantime, you know, and bring in a manager that has any you know, clue of what they're doing. And listen, you know, we can bash Allegri all we want, but I mean, that's a thankless position for him to be in. I mean, he lost Zlatan Ibrahimovic, he lost Thiago Silva, you know, two of the best players in their respective positions on the planet, and he replaced them with Balotelli, not Nigel de Jong, you know, who's ended more careers than you know, a bad sitcom. I mean, that's a thankless position for him to be in, but nonetheless, they are reeling. They are absolutely listless. They are reeling, and they're there for the taking. And I am going to be there. I'm going to take them. Oh, that hurt. It hurt my head. Rev, you still there? Everybody left me. Dr. John's Skype cut out. So thank you to Dr. J for getting in touch, as he always does, and a bit of audio fanfare while we wait for the Rev.
I'm still here.
Doctor, give me the news. I'm going fucking.
Yeah.
We're gonna breach in Myrtle.
Yeah. Coming at ya. Sunday morning, East Coast of the United States. Be on the way of something football show. Hell, media. Yeah, come on. We got a little Rev fanfare for you. There you go.
He's got no hair.
Someday you're gonna grow hair, and then I'm gonna have to change the song.
He's got no hair.
That's basically like what all of my songs revolve around, your lack of hair. I got nothing else.
He's got no hair.
The Rev of Fortune. Spinning the wheel. Wow. Now we got Rev PI. You can see you with the Tigers hat on, Hawaiian shirt, driving around a Ferrari. You need a mustache. Again, with the no hair.
Not my style.
Right. Okay. So, Dr. J getting in touch. Excellent points. And as always, Rev, let's look ahead to the AC Milan game. We have a bit of a break now, which sucks balls. International week. The United States of America is going to Hampden. That's certainly exciting. You to be cheering for Scotland in that?
I didn't even know that game was happening.
Wake up, Rev. Wake up.
I mean, sure. Did they announce the squads yet? I think it'd be funny if I did that.
Kind of a dick move, if you ask me, but
I know
it's your life.
Kind of how I roll.
Yeah. I don't think that the squads have been announced. They should have been. I don't know. They're playing at Hampden, I believe, on Wednesday. And I would guess it's going to feature a lot of the European players, considering they're already over there. But yeah, it'd be interesting. You know, I'm no fan of the Scottish national team anyway, especially considering I'm American. You know, in the SFA and all that, notwithstanding. So
I mean, they got Gordon Strachan, and if he's calling in a lot of Celtic players, then I'm okay with that. I think.
Interesting point, Rev. Interesting.
That's
point.
why I asked if they released the squads yet.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting point. I see. I sort of fall on the other side of it, though, where I don't want Strachan to call in any of the Celtic players because it opens up opportunities for them to get injured in games that mean nothing. You know, like, do I really want to see Scott Brown go out and, destroy his hip playing against, Jermaine Jones, who's a red card waiting to happen, for nothing? Probably not. I'd much rather see, some of those Scottish second division players go out and get ripped to shreds by Baby Bradley et al. So I see what you're saying, where Gordon Strachan's going to give a lot more respect to Celtic players, but I just prefer they only play for Celtic.
Right. No, I feel you. I mean, I don't.
You feel me?
I stopped paying attention to
you feel
international
me, dog?
stuff a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I know there's a big to-do over here because apparently Klinsmann said he's going to call up players.
Yeah.
From MLS that are in the playoffs for friendlies, so people who are affected by that aren't quite happy. Which,
yeah.
If I were in their shoes, I wouldn't be happy either.
Yeah, I'm dick. I'm too hungover for this shit. For my Klinsmann impersonation. Yeah, we're going to call in players who are in the playoffs just now, and I don't give a fuck. If they are in the playoffs, we are going to play a worthless friendly. I'm going to fly them over to Scotland. See, this is what always happens. Like, my German accent turns into French. My Irish accent turns into Jamaican. Klinsmann's a dick. But, at a certain point, I was calling for his head. Now, not so much. Now I'm a big fan of what he's done with our club. Or with our country, rather. Not our club. He can stay the hell away from our club. But, yeah, no, I'm a fan. He gets the results. It seems as though, the players are the players were playing with a lot of enthusiasm. Yeah. Speaking of enthusiasm, now joining us all the way from South Jersey. He's about 7 feet tall. He's probably, 320. Fighting out of the fighting state of New Jersey. It's Yampy. He'll help, brother.
Yeah, what's up, G?
How is it going?
Kind of cold today, man. Windy as hell.
Yeah.
It's typical no snow, freezing balls kind of Sunday in just South Jersey.
You typically get the wind with the cold. The cold wouldn't be so bad if it wasn't for the damn stinking wind.
Yeah, but it's useless. If you're going to have the cold and you're going to have the wind, you might as well have the friggin' snow, too.
True. Good.
But
yeah,
we don't ever get snow down here. North Jersey gets the snow.
That's true. Yeah.
How's it going, Rev?
Yes, let's ask those North Jerseyans how they get snow.
Let's defer to North Jersey.
Hey,
there's none of them on this show.
Oh,
Here we go.
The Rev is a bit precious about his geographic location in the state of New Jersey. Now,
I am.
What is the line of demarcation, Rev? Is it exit 11?
More than that. If anything, it'd be 12.
12? What's 12? Wait, is 12 Carteret?
12's Carteret.
Yeah. See, look at me. Yes, I know my Jersey Turnpike.
That is not the line of demarcation. Anything Trenton above is North Jersey.
Oh.
See, Trenton's really
609.
south. If we're gonna go straight north and south, then yes, I'm in North Jersey. But you have to throw in Central Jersey. The Middlesex County, Monmouth County, what's next to Somerset County.
Somerset, yes. Bridgewater, Basking Ridge.
We will give up Central Jersey and let it kind of like defect to North Jersey. I mean, they really don't have anything to offer in Central Jersey. It's generally just a bunch of rednecks.
Yeah.
Budweiser.
Damn, Rev.
What?
Damn.
Have you ever? You have the Pineys. You just described the Pineys.
We have casinos and tomatoes. You guys have pollution and the mafia.
Yeah.
Literally less than 10 miles away from my house is one of the largest farms in the area. So
cases
if you
rested.
drive up North Jersey on the Turnpike, going from like exit 11 up, it's just one big fart smell the whole way up to New York City.
Damn. Fart smell. Rev, you going to take that?
He knows it's true.
I don't care about the fart smell. I don't live by the fart smell.
I'm
not really going to debate the fart smell because, that's not wrong, but that's not by me anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Those are oil refineries from... now, is Elizabeth? Is that North Jersey?
Yeah. Well, do Benny. I'm not a Benny. I have it on good authority from people in South Jersey that I am not a Benny.
What's a Benny?
Benny it's Bayonne, Elizabeth, Newark, and New York. So those are the people from the North Jersey and Staten Island and shit. Yeah, that go down to the shore and fuck everything up for the locals
and kind of make the whole Jersey Shore scene real Jersey Shore.
Now, are they like the gelheads? The steroids and all that.
Yep. GTL crowd, gym tanning, laundry kind of deal.
Now, going back 100 years ago, my city was a popular shore destination. We have beaches. I mean, now, they kind of got fucked up by the oil refineries upriver.
I was going to say, and Sandy brought the beaches to you guys.
Yeah. So we, not anymore, but I mean, and the South Amboy, which is obviously, just south of us,
South Amboy represent.
Their official motto is "Gateway to the Shore," so we're right there.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking New Jersey here. We're breaking it down for you. We're dispelling all of the Jersey myths, and compartmentalizing them.
For the Garden State Review.
All right, real quick though, because I don't think I've ever asked you this question: is it pork roll or Taylor ham?
It's pork roll. Always pork roll.
All right.
Nobody calls it Taylor ham. Not that I've ever heard. I mean,
that's the source of contention in our house.
Yeah, I've never heard Taylor ham in Philly. I've never heard Taylor ham in South Jersey. It's always pork roll. Yeah, I would look. I mean, I've never even thought of it as ham. It's just
Well, that's the brand. If you want to show brand loyalty, the same thing can I get a Kleenex? No, you want a tissue. It's like that kind of thing.
See, this is a perfect indicator for you, Rev, though, that you live in the DMZ. Family strife and conflict over the proper term for Taylor ham or pork roll.
It's just a fucking mess.
Nicely and neatly summed up there by Yampi, as always.
At least somebody's enjoying this in the chat room.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a gaggle of folks in Scotland they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? You know what? You're just gonna have to deal with it, okay?
Look, I have to wake up every morning hearing about Ulster fries and what the fuck an Ulster fry is.
Exactly.
What's bread and breen and whatever the fuck that is, and who eats baked beans at 6 in the morning and people with a lot of gas.
Exactly right.
Garden State chat for 2 minutes.
Exactly right. I have to listen to the colloquialisms of what people from Fife would say where they're feh. or, the salt and saucers or whatever. It's an education all around. So we're bringing the education of the Garden State, which is New Jersey, over to you all. Yumpy.
Absolutely. Quid pro quo. Quid pro quo. God, I can't even get the words out this morning. Give and take, right?
Too hung low?
Too hung low. Sounds like I'm the one that's hung over this morning.
Well, and maybe you just got back from Lowell's trip over to China. Speaking of which,
right.
we have a guest coming on. Hopefully this week I'll be lining up again. Mark Dreyer is that gentleman is never going to grace the airways on this.
What if he said? What if he reached out, or a representative of his, and said, we would like to come on the show and dispel rumors, or this is them talking, not saying it's actually going to be true, and but that they want to have a one-on-one and open forum.
Ooh, one-on-one action.
Would you accept?
Of course I would. Of course I would. Yeah. No. Listen.
Well, I wasn't sure if that he'll never grace this show was you saying you would never allow him, or you just assuming. Quite rightly, probably.
No, and you know what? That wasn't clear, and I'm glad that you brought that up, Rev. It's not. Listen, this isn't personal between me and Mr. Lawwell. I'm sure that he's a delightful man. I met him, and he seemed very pleasant, very amiable. Enough, and it's not personal against him. It just so happens that he's in charge of a football club that I am neurotically obsessed with and in love with, and he fucks with it, and I don't like that. And I voice my displeasure about it. So it's not against him. If he did come in a good faith measure and say, like you said, I'd like to come on your show, your airwaves, and dispel all of this, I would give him an open forum. It wouldn't be an ambush. I wouldn't, seek to make him look bad. I want the answers just like everybody else. I want everybody to have the answers. And it seems so secretive. All of the doings with the board and with the operation of the club, and there's mind games. We heard from Jeanette Finley last week. Thanks again to Jeanette, by the way. We got so much great feedback on that interview. And she opened up a lot of the workings that the Celtic Trust, of which she's a trustee of, has with the board, and the contempt that the board has for any fan-led type of organization, and the trust obviously being one of them, where they can't even advertise in the Celtic View. I mean, come on. That's just petty and ridiculous, but that is what we're dealing with here. And until it changes and improves, I'm not going to shut the hell up. And I know that Yampi's not going to shut the hell up.
He doesn't have the balls to come on. He has nothing to gain by it, so he's not going to do it.
Well, that's exactly right.
I'd probably give a toe to see him come on here. There'd be no way in the world he'd do it.
Which one?
You imagine people calling up Human Tampon, the Sick Note, Bo Richter, fuck are you doing? Oh, he'd be tore up. He doesn't have the balls to be accountable for that kind of stuff.
Well, I wouldn't open it up.
Like a challenge.
I wouldn't open it up to callers, but more importantly, which toe would you give up?
Well, it's probably one on my right leg. My right leg's just like a fucking train wreck right now, so it'd probably be a right pinky toe.
Right pinky? Yeah, you could do without that.
I think I would have to do that.
Steve Atwater?
But it would have to be twofold though. I'd have to be able to ask him questions too.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then that's fine. I think he'd be okay with it. Knowing the terms that are put forth, obviously you're giving up a toe for the process, i.e. Steve Atwater turf toe. Or I think Ronnie.
Sometimes you got to make a little sacrifice.
Yeah. Well, and for that we thank you.
So what we should do is we should open it up that people get to ask questions and they get a certain amount of airtime, certain amount of questions to ask him, and they get more by what they donate. So, all right, now you're going to give up a foot. You get 5 questions for a whole foot.
Wow. What about a nipple? Is that like a twofer? Can you get an extra? So, Yampy, if you gave up a pinky toe and a nipple, we'll throw in an extra, you get 3 questions?
Hey, 3 questions, and how many expletives do I get to use?
Free reign. I mean, come on, a nipple's a nipple.
Totally unlimited use. This is like a Verizon package or something. Totally unlimited cursing.
Exactly. We're going to bundle it.
Again, it would probably have to be a right side thing. I want to keep everything proportionate.
All right. Keep that left peg intact.
But it will never happen because Wall doesn't have the balls to do it. He
True.
doesn't have the balls. Mr. Big Businessman just won't do it. He wants to sit there and hide away and piecemeal things and sell off good guys and bring in guys who are projects and just kind of hide away and not answer questions about the living wage or anything else. He doesn't have the balls to do something like this because he knows that there would have to be a level of accountability for his actions.
I think you're right.
He has nothing to gain.
I think you're right. Hey, Yumpy, let me ask you a question. This season, obviously a lot of the comments are, we've had some time to digest the signings that have come in, and by a country mile, even a central Jersey mile. Virgil van Dijk is by far our best signing of the summer, and there's not really a close second. Now some of the reactive comments from Neil Lennon as well as others have been, we think a lot of Pookie, and he's a player for the future, and I don't want to call it excuse making, but it is putting things into perspective in terms of these are not the players that we needed back in August. Let me ask you, Yumpy. I mean, this is direct. This is very sort of pointed language. This is what you are best at. You don't mince words, and this is what I'm expecting from you. Was this season a throwaway? And the reason why I ask that is in terms of we didn't bring in a striker that can actually score goals. And if you're going to be ambitious, not just in Scotland, but in the Champions League, to try and get back to the last 16, you must have that type of player. It's clear that they knew that they didn't have that player, and they didn't care. They had a specific amount of money that they wanted to spend. It's clear that John Park did not rate Finn Bogason for whatever reason. We skipped past him, and that's fine. But come up with another player. If you don't fancy Finn Bogason, then come up with another player that can put the ball in the back of the net. We didn't do that, and I think that it's becoming more clear that this was a throwaway year. They knew that we weren't going to have any competition domestically, and they figured we'll let the chips fall as they may in the Champions League. And maybe, hopefully, fingers crossed, we'd get an easy group, and we could get through to the last 16. Neil Lennon could pull the rabbit out of his hat, but it's clear that there was not a cogent, coherent strategy to advance, to progress, to improve over last year. Your thoughts?
Is it a throw? I don't know that it's a throwaway year if you're looking at it from the perspective of from where Lenny sits. He's got a job to do. And if he also wants to be a manager in the foreseeable future and probably end up parlaying his career down south, which is eventually what's going to happen, he's eventually going to say, "Fuck it, you're not getting me the guys that I want."
And I think that's becoming more and more realistic.
I mean, you saw the Daily Mail article the other day about him saying, "Oh, we got to push the boat out." Well, he kind of hinted at that after the whole Shakhtar Karagandy thing, where he said, "I'm not the guy to talk to about getting the players that I want in here."
And he didn't sound happy about it either.
No, not at all. And it just seems like, yeah, if you're in a fan's perspective, absolutely it feels like a throwaway year. Because it was kind of like we get all these little discount pieces. I call them the Holy Trinity of Pookie, Bo Richter, and Balde. Could they work? Maybe, who knows? I don't know. But so far, they haven't really done much of anything. I mean, Van Dijk is a great find. And I mean, that's again, that sings probably to Park's ability to find talent. But again, the club is only as good as the people that they will be willing to spend money on to sign. And they should have had Finn Bogason. He's 16 goals in 13 games. Yeah. I mean, the guy's leading the whole league that we couldn't score a goal against a team from that league.
Yeah.
At least on the road.
Yeah.
And this guy's like just dancing around everybody in that league.
He's definitely got quality.
Yeah, I mean, he is a special player. And now, if we have any hopes of trying to bring a guy in like him, you're going to have to spend they're probably going to want twice the money that they initially wanted to sell him off to begin with.
He's going to Newcastle. He's going to Newcastle in January. He's a perfect fit, into that Newcastle mode of buying strikers in January. They did it with Demba Ba. They did it with the other guy who I can't even remember who the hell he is because he just scored his first goal in 10 months at St. James's Park. Not like I give a shit about any of that. Aaron Johansson, he's a U.S. player. Rev, you can earmuff it if you want. Rev doesn't like the U.S. team because he's not a patriot. He's not a true American. I
think Rev's more of and correct me if I'm wrong, Rev, but you're more of a club guy, like an MLS club guy, than a Nationals guy, right?
Definitely.
He's a hooligan.
I'm the same way too. So I mean, that's like
you're not a patriot either.
That whole American Outlaws thing is so corny to me. It really is. You ever see some of the people that are in the American Outlaws? They, not for nothing, it looks like someone scooped up a Hot Topic with ear gauges and piercings and like Marilyn Manson thing going on, and just threw them in the end behind the goal.
Hot Topic and Spencer's had a baby and exploded.
A couple friends that are Outlaws, but wow. No, I know who Johansson is. So.
No, I mean, I think that he'd be a good fit.
Don't get me wrong. I'd love to take an American and put him on Celtic. Absolutely, wholeheartedly. But
I think that he'd be a good fit.
He's not Finn Bogason, dude. He's not Finn Bogason.
Hell hath no scory like a lover scorned.
Dude, the guy is a special player, and John Park went to see him twice, and it's like, just get a deal done.
You know who else is in Finn Bogason?
Yeah.
Jack McInerney.
Oh!
Oh, I'll give you that. That dude could score on a whorehouse right.
Jack McInerney, I think. Take it. Come on, Scotty. Let's mark out the McInerney.
Dude, when's the last time he scored? 4th of July?
Yeah, because Hackworth won't play him. Hackworth's an idiot. You know that.
I'll give you that.
I mean, come on. You know, Hackworth is King Midas in reverse. You know, McInerney scores 12 goals in 10 games or something, right, in the first half of the season. He's like, then he gets called up for the Gold Cup, missed a couple of weeks, and it was like, oh, well, you know what? He's doing far too well. We got to sit him down and see if we can fuck with things. Hey, let's get what's his name? Keon Daniel. Yeah, let's get his dreadlocks up there. See what the hell's going on. Now you got me on a Union rant. I think McInerney is perfect. He's a poacher. He's got good instincts. He runs the channels. He can score with his head. He can score with his left peg. He can score with his right peg. I love me some McInerney.
Whatever you say, Lowell Jr.
Hey, watch your mouth. All right, enough of that. I think we could get McInerney for 500,000 pounds, and I think he's young.
You could have Johnny Russell for 500,000 pounds.
Well, and that gets me into another question. Let's throw it, Rev. First, I'll ask you, and then Yampy, I want you to follow up.
Sure.
We spent $3 million reportedly on Pookie, who is essentially the same type of player, and I think maybe not even as good of a player as Johnny Russell would have been. Who, Johnny Russell would have, he would have cut off his toe just to play for Celtic, let alone having to answer or ask Peter Lowell a question. He wound up getting sold to Derby County for what I believe was $750,000. So we could have saved, $2.5 million just by bringing Johnny Russell in to get the equal sort of style player, if not better, in terms of acclimating to the Scottish game. We talked about some issues with Pookie where it wasn't ideal, certainly for him, for his strong suits, I guess. Rev, I mean, does this make any sense to you?
Absolutely not. And, exactly like you said, this is somebody who knows how the game is played already and has been playing in the league and scores goals in the league. So it's why you'd go outside and pay more. I don't know.
Scotty, is this maybe a situation where Peter Lowell got video of Johnny Russell singing Rebel songs and therefore didn't want to bring him in?
He doesn't want another Stokesy Alan Ryan thing, you mean? I mean, is that possible?
I don't think we're quite talking about the same thing, but...
I mean, well, there goes my chance to ask any questions of Peter Lowell. That's fine.
Keep that toe.
You know what I think it is? You want me to be honest? I think Lowell was probably feeling the heat from a lot of social media and everything. It's not like, a guy like that doesn't really care, but he's still conscious of his public perception. And, people saying, oh, you're being cheap, you're being cheap, you're being cheap. So here he goes. He's going to grab this guy who's not really being utilized in the Bundesliga. 12 games and 36, or 12 starts in 36 games.
Comes from a big club in the Bundesliga, Schalke.
Yeah, Schalke. And he figures, hey, you know what? This will make people shut up. We're making moves now.
Yep.
And even though Pookie couldn't buy a game, and I thought it was $3.5 million on Pookie, not $3 million. Yeah, I think it was done more so to shut people up as opposed to him having knowing that Johnny Russell's a Tim, and it's looking back, is that you're right, you could have saved about $3 million and signed Johnny Russell and got as good, if not better, production, at least in the league.
You know what that money would have freed up as well? If money truly was what held us back from signing another striker, i.e. Finn Bogason, that would have freed up the money to buy. We could have had Johnny Russell and Finn Bogason leading the line, and we would be ripping teams apart.
Yep, you'd have the guy you need in front of the net. I mean, everybody's got YouTube. Check out Finn Bogason's goals. I mean, he had a hat trick. What was it, 2 days ago? I mean, that's all he does is score goals. That's all the guy does. And I mean, it's like every game he's on the sheet for scoring. So why we couldn't, the Scottish term, push out the boat or whatever the frig that means, get a guy like
it means getting a boat and pushing it out into the water.
Pushing out a boat. How about spend the money? Spend the money. Just spend the money, Pete. Stop being cheap. Spend the money.
Don't be cheap, Pete.
I'm offering a toe, Pete. Come on. Man up here, buddy. I don't think you got the balls to get on here.
Yeah. Keep the toe. Let me ask you this. First off, I want to give a shout out to Jungle Jim, Jungle Jim 67 on Twitter. He's getting in touch and saying, please give a shout out to the Red Cross Fund for the Philippines. I used to live there. My friends are missing. One is presumed dead. So thoughts and prayers out to them, and hopefully they are located and they get the relief and the help that they need. He's also included a link if you'd like to donate to the Red Cross and all the good work that they're doing down there. He's saying, please spread the word to all Tims. 97 million Catholics there without hope tonight. They need our help. Rev, what do you got? A cash register?
What's that?
It's Lowell in the background.
What do you got? Some popcorn popping?
The bird.
Oh, the bird. Yeah. So what's the bird's name?
Professor River Song.
What?
Oh my God.
This has got to be a Doctor Who thing.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it's a Doctor Who thing. Okay. Yeah, I don't nerd out with that shit. No, hey, look, God bless you with the Doctor Who. I like Duck Dynasty. I just got into Duck Dynasty.
Wow,
that's real
serious?
Yeah. Listen, you would not expect me of all people to get into it. I love that show. I love it.
You're really getting into the whole Virginia thing.
Oh Christ, I knew that was coming. Yeah, the People's Republic of Northern Virginia. Please, have you ever been here? I mean, the most southern thing they have here is Bob Evans.
Tell you the truth, they kind of look like they're from Central Jersey.
Hey, them's be fighting. Look, I'm not even going to defend this place. I'm not from here. I'm from Philly.
How can you watch that, man? That show is so awful.
Have you ever watched it?
It's a thinking man's
2 minutes,
show.
dude. I couldn't make it.
Dude, it's like every show that I get into, and I'm sure I'm not alone with this, there was a marathon on, one Saturday afternoon, and I'm sitting around. It was probably after Celtic hasn't lost, so it wasn't after a Celtic loss, but I was just sitting around spacing out, and I didn't feel like changing the channel, and so I'm watching it just out of like pure disgust at first. And yes, thank you, Professor Bigglesworth. It's what is it, Professor Rivergate?
River Song.
Professor River Song, lovely. It's a mouthful. It just sucked me in. It did. These bearded, dirty people.
It seems like the total opposite of anything that would you'd be interested
in.
It
is. It totally is. And I'm absolutely captivated by it. I love it. At first it was like, great, here's just like a bunch of rednecks doing redneck things and
But they're not even making anything cool like moonshine. They're like, y'all want to make like a hunting whistle or something? Yeah, all right. You know what? I'm bored today. Let's build an office on the side of the office. And I was like, you got to be fucking
That is essentially what it is. And I don't know what it's hysterical. It just is not, and not from the reality TV, let's look at a complete train wreck and laugh at it. They are funny. They're funny people.
Are they really making money off hunting whistles?
Apparently, yeah. But think about the overhead though. They have 5 people working for them, and there's Scotty. Listen, it's not just relegated to Central Jersey. There's a huge swath of this entire country where there's rednecks. And they hunt for ducks, and they don't just make duck whistles. They make I think they have deer ones. Where it goes. Or whatever it does. They have crow whistles, raven whistles. I've investigated it. It's a whole thing. I mean, it's
Are you gonna go duck hunting now?
no, hell no. What are you kidding me? No, it's a complete waste of time, and it's stupid. You know, please. I can't even take the air conditioner out of my window. You want to trust me with a gun?
Well, I have news for you. We're gonna have a fun day before the wedding.
If it involves guns, I have news for you. I ain't doing that shit.
Not hunting, just going to a range.
I don't give a shit. You know, the only range I go to involves, a 9-iron and a Titleist, and that's it.
It's very North Jersey. What do you want to do today? Let's go out and shoot something.
I'm going to go to the rifle range. Come on, Bo. We going to go to
You want to go drink and go to the casinos?
Yes.
Come on. And actually the place is in Pennsylvania, so...
There's a shock. Like, there's not enough rednecks over there. Oh, my God.
Come on,
Bo!
Bo.
Go to a place and shoot, like, a Garand and, like, all these historic, you know...
Y'all from out of state, ain't you? Y'all from Central Jersey.
It's okay, but don't try to be doing anything else over here.
Come on, Bo. Let's sell you some fireworks.
Right now, there's one dude from South Carolina and one dude from Georgia. Like, listen to these motherfuckers, really?
No pyro, no party, bitch. Yumpy, let me ask you a question. You know, obviously there was, we've broken down the Ajax debacle from midweek on the pitch, but obviously off the park there was just horrible scenes of our own supporters once again, just getting attacked by Ajax hooligans, and it seems as though the police were involved with this. Was it a bit naive, going 12,000 deep down to Ajax and thinking that it was just going to be another, party atmosphere for Celtic supporters, i.e., every time we go to Barcelona, that the cops there love us, talk to the mayor of Seville about Celtic supporters, Lisbon, even, when we go there. I mean, never any trouble, but obviously seeing the scenes from the Ajax casuals or whatever the hell you want to call them, Dungeons and Dragons playing dress up, what they did to Glasgow when they came here. Even the club itself issued a warning, like, please look after yourself and be vigilant and be careful when you go there. Was it a bit naive for everybody to go there and say, it's going to be nothing but Heineken, hookers, and weed, and it's going to be a great time? I mean, I'm not going to justify it, and I'm not going to say it's right, but I can't say that I'm necessarily surprised at the outcome.
I don't know, man. I thought that, looking at it with being objective and everything, I thought that when the draw was first done, that was the high end. If you want to go to an away match, that would probably be the most fun. I mean, seriously, everybody knows what Amsterdam's about, and that's supposed to be a really great time. And the perception is that everybody's supposed to be laid back and accepting of everybody, kind of like a very almost left-wing kind of feel. It's kind of like you're just going to go there and chill, and it's going to be like, football meets Woodstock.
Well, everybody's high.
You see all that stuff go on, and you're like, what the fuck, man? Seriously? The first night with all the shit that they raid like 150 dudes with axe handles to go steal a flag. Every time I think of it, I think of the fucking movie Revenge of the Nerds, where they were like raiding the girls' dorm to steal panties and stuff.
Yes, the panty raid, yes.
They could have just asked it to him, and they would have been like, here, take a flag, dude. Chill the fuck out, What's the point? It's about football, man. Relax.
Take a spliff and lay back.
Yeah, that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be this chill kind of atmosphere, and it's like, maybe it's a chill atmosphere, but it's being populated by a bunch of fucking Nazis.
Yeah.
And then you go to the next night and you see these cops that are supposed to be doing, a professional job and keeping order and you see everybody having a good time during the day. Then all of a sudden the sun goes down, and that's their opportunity to start laying into people that are sitting at a cafe or just, standing around the square and singing. I was happy as fuck that those people stood up for themselves. You see the free Patrick Mulligan and the free Andy Vance and all these, the hashtags and the websites coming up now because they're still being held, and Lord knows what they're having to deal with in these jails and stuff over there.
Yeah.
The cops are the ones that should be in the fucking jail right now.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up. You have the Twitter feed Padraig, which is giving updates on the status. There's as many as 6 Celtic supporters that are still held up in a cage, very similar to Mr. Bigglesworth at Rev's house. And reportedly they're going to be there until the 21st when they can get around to trying them. Who knows what that situation is in an Amsterdam jail. Some folks were lucky enough to be able to pay €500 and get themselves released. But of course, that lays the precedent, and hopefully Celtic steps up and does the right thing with this and supports our own supporters. Yes, I know it's very tough for them to do, but sometimes it really needs to be done. And they've taken enough black guys recently. Paying the fine and essentially admitting guilt to whatever they were charged with can potentially lead to a banning order on the supporters. So they can have tickets revoked. They can be, prohibited from entering the grounds. This is an opportunity. This is a situation where Celtic needs to step up. I was pleased to see that Celtic released what I thought was, for them, a reasonably aggressive statement after, the day after all of this had taken place. It's so often the club, thinking back to the Kettling situation from last year, the club really is just either flat-footed or aloof in these types of situations, and it really is a situation that the club needs to be accountable and needs to be supportive of our own supporters. I mean, it's not as if, we're in 1955 where, it's just black and white or Technicolor. I mean, everybody has video, everybody has cameras. There's all sorts of video footage of what actually took place. There was a guy, speaking of Central Jersey or North Jersey or whatever the hell you want to call it, there was a guy who looked like Paulie Walnuts in an undercover police get up. Why you need undercover police to try and clear a square in Amsterdam is beyond me. I have absolutely no idea. But how people were supposed to differentiate between an Ajax fan, who have been shown to, indiscriminately crave violence, how a Celtic supporter is supposed to discriminate between one of them and an undercover police officer who looks just like them is beyond me. If some guy that runs up to me and doesn't announce himself as a police officer and starts beating me, if that happens, I'm gonna kick him square in the balls. Exactly. I mean, I'm gonna have Yampy right on my shoulder and be like, Yampy, fuck that shit up, brother. I mean,
little white tufts of hair all over the ground.
That's it. Listen, Yampy, you're gonna smash him to the surface, and once that happens, I'm gonna get my kicks in. That's just the way it's going down.
I'm not as strong as a Fenian flagpole or anything, but I can do a little damage. But you could tell. I mean, it was just like, even with the whole thing with the banner and everything, nobody really saying as much about that because of all the events that overshadowed it. But, I mean, you see, like, the Fenian Bastards thing. There was just, like, this was, like, the total opposite of when I first heard that Celtic was going to have a match at Amsterdam. There was the total opposite. The end result was of what I thought it was going to be like, man. I saw that, and I told my wife afterwards, I said, thank God we can go to this match, man, because, I mean, who needs that shit? Can you imagine if you're just sitting there, you're having a munch or something, sitting down, all of a sudden you got fucking cops riding up like a goddamn Lone Ranger or something and crack you over the head with a stick. I mean, what the fuck is that?
Welcome to Ajax, my man. Like I said, I watched the game with a girl who is Dutch, and she said her father's an Ajax supporter, but she supports PSV. She explained it in no uncertain terms. That's par for the course when you're dealing with Ajax. They have nets up that separate their ultra group, Dungeons and Dragons, Let's Play dress up, and just general mission fans. It's all it's just this all macho hooligan facade.
I guess that comes from rolling over to the Nazis in the 40s. I guess they need to kind of overcompensate now.
Oof. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy I didn't, I'll never go there now. I mean, not for nothing. I can get drunk and hang out anywhere if I want to. I don't need to especially go to Amsterdam to do that. And, what am I going to look at besides that windmills and tulips?
And clogs.
And
clogs.
Yeah. They can plant their tulips right here.
And and they have ginormous, gorgeous center halves that just consistently do damage and score goals with their head. Virgil.
They're big, oversized Dutch heads.
Yes. I don't care. Virgil is a specimen. I don't even care.
I'm sure that's what his old lady thinks.
Oh, she's a specimen as well. I better shut the hell up about that. But, oh, man, she is gorgeous. Good Lord. Those people, like, typically I would sort of be scornful, like, oh, great, he's super successful and, he's really good, good at football and she's smoking hot. Like, screw them. But you can't say. I mean, you just have to be happy for them. They seem like they're very humble. I follow them on Twitter. They're my Twitter friends.
Yay. Not for nothing. I mean, it's like, hey, if he keeps scoring goals and playing the way he's playing and being real strong at the back, God, whatever makes him happy. I want him here for a long time, but probably within the next year or something, Lowell's going to be like, yeah, time to sell him to West Brom.
Yep, and that's when the Rev gets his magic cash register out. Central Jersey.
Give him a chance. He's greasing the shotguns over there.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, he gives me shit for watching Duck Dynasty. He's like, we're going to go out to the shooting range day before I get married, Bo.
We're going to go blow some shit up there, Bubba.
Come on, Bo. We're going to carve some pumpkins.
I hate guns as much as the next person and believe guns are bullshit and blah, blah, blah.
But I love licking them.
Shit. You can't say shit till you've actually shot one. It's fun as fuck.
You are the most confused leftist on the planet.
Seriously.
Not at all.
I am a socialist, but I love corporations like Red Bull.
Oh! Damn!
Corporations.
Huzzah!
Fuck yeah!
Damn! Leftist, hates corporations, loves Red Bull.
No, I don't. Oh no, they took over my team. That means I'm all about them. Lol. Yeah.
That's a compelling defense. But the gun thing
I'm not arguing with him. He's got a shotgun, man.
The gun thing is I don't get it. I don't care how fun it is. I don't know. I don't need all that.
Yeah, man, he's not hurting anybody with it, so I guess it's no big deal. I mean,
Well, and it's going to stay that way because I'm not going. So you can't hurt me. Forget it.
Come on.
No.
Come on.
Yeah. Some guy from North Jersey is going to tell me to get in a car with him, and they're going to drive to Pennsylvania, and then there's going to be guns involved. No, thank you. I don't see this ending up as a net positive for me. The net positive would be when I safely return without any shrapnel.
I was gonna say somebody's gonna hit a pothole out there, and the words "accidental discharge" come to mind.
All right,
we're not bringing our own guns or anything. None of us. Well, okay, none of us are bringing guns.
Are you throwing grenades?
No, you use the range guns. They supply their own shit.
Do they have any slingshots?
Maybe a crossbow. I don't know.
It's more my speed. Crossbow. Jesus, what is this? Game of Thrones?
I don't know. Maybe you're a Down Dixon fan. I don't know.
Rev's angry, man. Rev's angry.
Yeah, and hey, look, nothing pairs nicely, any nicer with anger than guns. Hey, let's turn this more surreal. More surreal. This can't be more surreal. Let's turn to more serene topics before we wrap this up. And Yampy, I'm glad that we have you on for this right now. I'll give you a little snippet of the topic.
There we go.
Yes, it's NFL Sunday. High noon here in the East Coast, and we've got the Eagles.
Score a touchdown, 1, 2, 3. Oh, hit 'em high, and watch our Eagles fly. Fly, Eagles fly. Sing it, Rev.
Was this song recorded the last time they won anything?
Eagles.
Lovely. So the Eagles are playing the Green Bay Packers this afternoon. Not going to have the services of Aaron Rodgers. He's got a fractured collarbone. That's going to hurt. So
pieces are falling into place nicely.
Yeah, we got him right where we want him. What your thoughts, Yampy? I mean, certainly.
It's supposed to be a little windy at Lambeau Field today, but
Lambeau
it's supposed
Field.
to be because it's such a bowl type environment that the wind's not supposed to be affecting everything on the playing field. So I see Nick Foles throwing lots of touchdown passes today.
Yes.
Maybe not seven, but I'm thinking at least 3, and I'm talking Birds win 31-21.
31-21 at the Lamb Bowl. I like it. I can definitely see it. Let's be honest, the Packers are toothless without Aaron Rodgers. Seneca Wallace, it's going to be incumbent upon the defensive line to get their arms up because he is, we'll say, gravitationally challenged.
Yeah, I see them trying to run the ball and dictate the pace, and that's just not going to happen because the Eagles are going to sell out to stopping the run today.
Not going to do it. Not going to do it. Hey, Rev, what's the deal with your team?
Giants play the Raiders in about an hour, so.
Lovely. The
To
Raiders.
wrap things up, the sooner I can head over to my viewing party.
See, there's more displays of anger.
You got our shotguns there.
Yeah, are there going to be? Is this going to be a shotgun wedding?
That's passive aggressivism. That's not anger.
Are you going to be using a supporter shield serving plate?
How's your trophy cabinet looking?
We don't have the most money in the league like you guys, but we'll
Neither
be
do
all right.
we. We don't have the most money in the
Oh,
league.
stop it, Rev. It's 18 years now. 18. You guys look like you were going to cry after the Dynamo scored on you. I mean, they scored right near end, and you see all the 52 different supporters clubs for the Red Bulls, Viking Army, Empty Seats crew.
You mean like everyone who should just do the fucking world a favor and just get pushed over into the river there?
Oh, here we go.
Oh.
Sour grapes, ESC.
An angry skinhead.
He's a...
Hey, whatever you need to suit your narrative, you're pulling a Hunt thing there.
Oh.
Oh! We don't fly St. George's Cross.
But we probably would if we had an English player.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
When you're going on about this thing doesn't matter and it stays the same, no, you're arguing a so-called history that doesn't exist.
Yampy, he's got a point. Listen, every MLS club is doing sort of like that playing dress up. I mean, we have. Well, I say we.
It's MLS, dude. What do you want?
I'd say we. Like I'm.
Right. Die hard.
Yeah. Philadelphia Union till I die, brother. It all goes back to. I saw an interesting post from Deco, and shout out to Deco. We haven't had enough Deco as of late. Deco, we miss you. He's one of the funniest people I've ever met in my entire life. I love me some Deco. Deco mentioned that his daughter asked him a sort of mind-blowing question. I guess a question that could sort of implode the universe. Who would he root for if Celtic played Ireland? And that brings up a similar sort of conundrum, although not as intense. I will give you that. But going back to when Celtic played the Philadelphia Union in a friendly in the Philadelphia Union's inaugural season, which was 3 years ago. Not so much like 15, like Rev's moneyed corporate interest club, but going into it, I wanted to, and I've told this story before. I wanted to sit with the Celtics supporters, but it certainly closed that issue about where my rooting interest lies after having Philadelphia Union supporters chase me down the concourse yelling, "Why don't you go blow the Pope?" Which is funny because I'm not even Catholic or gay.
Well, I think I told you that story about, 'cause I was at that game too, and there were a couple of Chelsea supporters after the game screaming at Lenny, "Fuck the Pope."
Yeah.
And I that just blew my mind. I was like, really, guys? Like, seriously? We have that here.
I'm trying too hard.
It just there's, what? Every village has an idiot, and sometimes, you just see shit like that. And they
sometimes they sit by the river.
Yeah, it doesn't. You don't realize the ripple effect it has because you might have a guy that's a potential, Union supporter or something. Now you see stupid shit like that, and it's like, why the fuck should I bother?
Right. Right. Yeah. No, I don't have any time for the the River End or the Sons of Ben or the Friends of Ben or whatever the hell. Just.
Where I stand with it. I'm not. I still, because they're Philly.
You're with the illegitimates.
Yeah, I still root for the Union, but again, I'm not an SOB anymore or any of those supporter groups. I just, it's
too. It leaves you too exposed to being around idiots that are going to do stuff like that. There's a lot of people.
I think in all of the supporter groups in MLS that just are kind of like they fit that demographic to a T that I talk about. They literally look like they came out of like a hot topic in a shopping mall, and they're just like corny, man. It's like
that's because the sport here is still considered alternative.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the truth. It's like you don't. It's almost like they're play acting. Like, oh, I want to be tough. Oh, I seen Green Street Hooligans. I want to be an MLS supporter.
Exactly.
It's like it's got this real cornball feel.
Exactly. Celtic is a Catholic club. I'll just tell their manager to fuck the Pope.
Yeah, I mean, and that's basically what it is. It's just.
Did you ever see the video of the guy from Seattle where they one of the local TV stations interviewed him, and he's one of their capos and all that shit, and born and bred Seattle guy wearing the fucking whatever their scarf is, the supporters group, and he starts talking in an English accent about how swear to God, he's like, all right, so
hello mate, you got claws and fangs, mate, we're going to have some tea.
And he goes on and he starts talking about why how he got into it and where he comes up with the songs or something. And he said he goes over to Europe every summer to watch games over there.
Yeah, I go over to Europe
summer
with my English accent.
In the summer.
Yeah, every summer.
Supposed to go.
I watch pub league football.
Yeah, I mean,
I watch Sunday League and get ideas from fat men that run around the park, and then. I work on my
like the poser. That's the real poser thing that it's like, man. I was in the River End before, and it was I used to have season tickets down in front row and everything, and I'd have people bitching at me for stupid shit like, "Oh, I can't see the match. You're waving a flag." What the fuck am I supposed to be doing, dude? Seriously, 90 minutes. I'm fucking I'm out of control.
Yes,
I'm having a good time. I'm screaming. I'm singing. I'm yelling. I'm waving a flag. You want to sit the fuck down and watch the match? Go buy a seat in the family section.
Yeah.
I'm here to get a little crazy, man.
Yeah, sit in the family section.
But it's just that kind of fucking attitude. You're like in the River, and it's like, oh, I'm an ultra. You're not an ultra. You're an ultra asshole is what you are. Go fucking sit with your kids and go watch the game and drink soda and eat fucking funnel cake.
Funnel cake
Don't
for
forget
the
Krabs and Pete's.
Yeah, that's
Chickies and Pete's?
Chickies and Pete's, whatever.
Yeah.
Crab fries, man. They're the bomb. You get the cheese with them, too, man.
Crab fries, I love them.
Whenever we would go down there, they put the big, just a straight chain link fence across the concourse, and
no crab fries for you, Rev. They pooped.
Still snuck through.
They pooped in your crab fries.
And good, it serves them right for the time I was at Red Bull Arena, and I had what was that? That barbacoa meat. They had a barbacoa burrito.
Ew.
I didn't know what barbacoa was at the time. I thought it was just steak.
It's pork.
No, it's not even pork, dude. It's like
poop
meat from like the head of a cow or something. They're like,
is that it? Barbacoa it's like shredded barbecue pork.
Head.
Is it? I thought it was like the tongue and shit of like a cow or
cow head. Cow head burrito.
This was all greasy and stuff. I'm like, man,
come on. You say you go to Chipotle. Chipotle's got barbacoa too.
Chipotle rocks, but I don't get barbacoa because I thought it was cow's head, dude. I don't get like fucking regular steak.
It says pork right next to it.
Yeah, that's why I get the steak, dude.
Well, this has been enlightening. Yampi, thank you so much for getting in touch. As always, I think this is as good a time as any to wrap things up. We got an international break, so I'm not really sure what the hell we're going to do in the meantime, except just go absolutely nuts. The next game that we play, I will be at.
I thought they play Aberdeen first.
And I will be there.
Are you going to be at both of them?
Yes. My flight lands at noon in Scottish time. It's not Greenwich Mean Time. It's Scottish time. And I think the game is...
How many whiskeys will you have in you by then?
Probably double digits. And the game, I believe, kicks off at 3 o'clock, so I have a driver. I'm being chauffeured from the airport to...
Is it Tommy?
Celtic Park. No. Although that would be an ideal choice as well. No, I have a Fenian livery that is going to be shuttling me from the airport to Celtic Park. Nope, no, I'm not divulging any information, but landing at noon, going straight to the stadium, and I'm gonna be a complete mess, but it's gonna be great. And hopefully I won't be sick. I won't pull a Bo Richter.
Just trying to trip over your own feet going through the gate.
Yeah. Yeah, that was handy, though, when they tried to frisk me. Be like, oh, well, I have a bunch of tissues because I have pneumonia. Guy was like, well, you better not touch you. Clearly the guy, he was like an English guy with Tourette's that played for, that was the Strathclyde police officer.
Yeah, where was the focus? Well, not to sidetrack, I know you want to wrap it up, but what happened to all the focus that were supposed to be over in Amsterdam and kind of like watching after things to make sure stuff didn't happen?
Oh, they kicked the shit out of a bunch of Celtic supporters.
I'm sure. I think they got their shots, and God for fuck, they do their job, right?
Yeah, one of them ran into a lamppost, I think.
Oh, dude, but was he a focus guy? I thought he was a Dutch cop.
Focus Dutch.
Still orange.
You never really can tell, can you?
As long as you make it back on the plane when you're supposed to.
That's it. I will make it on the Wednesday. I know that's important because the following Sunday is your nuptials.
Mm-hmm.
So yes,
It's gonna be like a week over there.
4 days.
Doing a show over there.
Yes, I am hosting, emceeing, DJing, spinning records for. I'm not doing any of that shit. For Paul Arkin's Edinburgh Book Launch. So
Hey, this is DJ Grab Crackers.
Yeah, come on, it's DJ Grab Crackers on the ones and twos. Come on, everybody. Got a little.
oh shit, I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah, we got a little CNC Music Factory coming at you.
It's gonna make you sweat.
Yeah, gonna make you sweat. Cause you got pneumonia. Yeah, live, Hail Media. Coming at you.
Well, you have a safe trip, and I hope you're healthy the whole time, man.
Thank you. Yep.
Rev, if I don't talk to you before then, congratulations, man. Good luck with your wedding.
Cheers.
Definitely.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Central Jersey. Thanks, Scotty.
All right, fellas, I'm out.
All right, see ya.
Have a good
Go
one.
Giants.
That is Yampy getting in touch, and he's always good for a laugh and other things. The Yampy song.
Coming at you. Yeah, DJ Grab Crackers.
Yampy is from South Jersey. He stands about 7'1".
This is amazing.
He is just a gentle giant. That is, unless you're a hug. He calls the show up every week. You know him if you heard him speak. Yampy! Oh yeah! Yampy's got a filthy mouth. Yampy! Oh yeah! Yampy calls it every week. Yup.
We're in the 16. You're out. Say goodnight, princess. You're fucking
Yeah, a little Yumpy fanfare for you there, ladies and gentlemen. Rev, you still there?
For some reason, yeah.
All right. Well, I will release you so that you can go to your, what is it, a wedding party?
No, go and just watch the Giants game.
Oh, all right. Well, I don't want to, hold you back from your Eli and company. I'm gonna watch Nick Foles at the Frozen Tundra. So, thank you as always to Dr. J for getting in touch, and the great Yampy as well. Rev, thank you. And I think we might have a small show either midweek or maybe next weekend for the international break, or maybe we won't do a show at all. I'm not really sure. We're trying to link things up with this interview, and need to touch base with the Rev as always to check in with him. Congratulations to your Red Bulls. I mean this sincerely, on the Supporters Shield. That's it's an accomplishment. The most points in the league, right?
Yes, sir.
So if we actually had a proper league, you'd be the MLS champions.
We would be.
Yeah, but we have to do.
We're the regular season champions.
We have to do playoffs.
Eh.
It's kind of gay.
CONCACAF Champions League next year. Come on.
Oh yeah, CONCACAF champion, and we get to hear Christopher Sullivan, doing his. Speaking of people with fake accents, it's an American with. He speaks like he's from Ciudad Juarez. He was born in San Francisco. Yeah, the trequartista with the triangulation on the offensive sector. It's like, dude, you look like you just came off the Mayflower. Stop it.
Oh, well. Shout out to Christopher Sullivan. He's special.
Douchebag.
So you guys will be in the CONCACAF Champions League. That's very exciting. And, a bit of silverware. So, fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Rev, great stuff as always. And, there's not really much to look forward to. It's kind of a sad thought. But, a little bit of a break. I guess everybody can use it. And, we'll be back at some point. But for now, for Yampy and Bull Deep and the Rev, I'm Graham Wilson. Say goodbye, Rev.
Goodbye, Rev.
And that's me saying hail, hail, and keep the faith. And we'll talk to you soon.
The island, it is silent now, but the ghosts still haunt the waves. And a torch lights up a famished man who fortune could not save. Did you work upon the railroads? Did you ride the streets of crime? Were your dollars from the White House? Were they from the 5 and dime? Did the old songs start to cheer you? And did they still make you cry? Did you count the months and years? Or did your teardrops quickly dry? I know 15 was not to be on a coffin ship. I came here and I never even got so far that they could change my name. Thousands are sailing across the western ocean to a land of opportunity that some of them will never see. Fortune prevailing across the western ocean, their bellies full, their spirits free. They'll break the chains of poverty and they'll dance. In Manhattan's desert twilight, in the dead of afternoon, we stepped hand in hand on Broadway, like the first man on the moon. And a blackbird broke the silence as you whistled, it's so sweet. And in Brendan Behan's footsteps, I danced up and down the street. And we said goodnight to Broadway, giving it our best regards. Took our hats to Mr. Cohen, dear old Times Square's favorite bird. Then we raised a glass to JFK and a dozen more besides. When I got back